Hey, what is up, you guys? Always good to see you here on the channel. One of the most common questions I get at the nursery is how much do I water my houseplant? And it's such a loaded question. I wish I could just give you a hard answer. Okay, 1 cup every week. But there's so many different variables. So I figured what we'll do today, I'll let you guys go around and I'll show you how much I water each one of my houseplants and how regular. So let's get over to the sink. Let's mix us up a little bit of fertilizer water and let's get to work. So I water my houseplants about every 2 weeks, but then once a month I will jump back and forth between different fertilizers. This month we're going to use Vine Vitality. I'll put a link in the description below if you guys want to try this. It's worked really good for me, but I'll jump back and forth between this and then something like the King Mackerel, Holy Mackerel fertilizer. And I save my Arnold Palmer tea jugs. Y'all know I love that stuff. I've already mixed up 2 of them, and what the reason I do that, it's just quicker for me to come up here and fill up my little watering pail versus trying to, measure out the fertilizer and then put it in the little watering pail. So I'll just fill up about 3 of these gallon jugs. It's 1 ounce per gallon. So you want to shake this stuff up real good, obviously with the cap on, because you don't want to make a mess. And this does have a little bit of a fishy odor to it, but once you mix it with the water, you really can't smell it, to be honest. And I've got my little measuring cup right here, so we'll just put us 1 ounce to the gallon. I think this is actually just an old detergent measuring cup, but it works out good because it's got that little spout right there. Now we're just going to fill it up with tap water. You could use rainwater. It would be better if you have a collection system, but I'm just using regular old city water, and I get it about lukewarm. I don't do it cold, and I certainly don't do it too hot. All right, there we go. We got us 1 gallon of fertilizer water, and then I'll just go ahead and pour that directly into my little spouted water pitcher here. And check out all of our cuttings that we did a few weeks ago, y'all. They are doing really good. I'm gonna give them a little splash of some fertilizer water, but just look at that root growth. Man, it's been really quick. I think due to a lot of just the temperature has been so warm and getting all that light. But look at this mini monstera in particular, man. Their root development has been crazy. So since these guys are just in nothing but water when we did the cuttings, we're just going to come in and just give each one of them just a little splash of this Vine Vitality. Whoa, Ryan. Got a little crazy with that one. We almost made us a little mess. But just give each one just a little bit. And then my air plants too, I'll go ahead and just let a couple of drips fall on him, and then it'll run down on the inside of that jar and create a nice humid environment for me. Then all my little hanging terrarium dudes, I'll give them just a couple of drops too. That's not much, but we don't want a whole lot in there because then we get algae growth and stuff. So just a few drops just to keep it nice and humid, and then he can absorb all of that fertilizer too through his through the skin of the plant. That's air plants, hence the name. They get all the nutrient they need through the air. Then my little sundew guy here, he is doing really good. He's eating fungus gnats. I did a little YouTube short the other day about showing him eating one. But look at it, he's got little flower stalks. He's really happy. And all I do with him is just use bottled water. And we just want to keep that tray as full as we can because we got to keep that soil moist because he's a bog plant. So he likes to stay moist all the time. Now let's move over here to my little office area. I was editing a video for you guys. And Pepe, the cat, gives all of my palms hell. In fact, he's killed 2 of them. But he loves to chew on these, and they're not toxic, obviously, or he'd be dead. But they're also on the list of non-toxic plants, but he just makes it look ratty. But the hard thing for me to tell you guys, how much water to give your plant is due to the fact of the container size, the soil. There's just so many variables, so I can't tell you exactly how much water to put in your plant I don't know how much you run the air conditioner. There's just way too many factors. But the best thing you can do is stick your finger, all the way down into the soil. And if it's dry, then water it, and thoroughly saturate the soil. Now you gotta be careful with that too, because it's gonna come out the bottom. So I've got these collection trays under pretty much every single plant in my house. I don't know why my camera just decided to pan over to the right. But anyway, you just got to use your best sense of judgment as how much to put in there. But we want the soil moist. We don't want it soppy wet, and we don't want it super dry. Right now it's pretty daggum dry. I just put these old broken terracotta pieces in here just to keep Pepe from turning my plant into a bathroom. And so what I'll do, we're probably going to put about half of this container to this guy right here, since it is such a large pot. And I like to just kind of go all over the surface, spreading that water out evenly, and then letting it soak right on down into the soil. And I don't have to worry about overflowing my collection tray down at the bottom. Put my Pepe protector back in place, and this guy will be good for about 2 weeks now. So that was about exactly half of this container. I don't know exactly how much fluid is in here. This is probably, I don't know, 1/4 of a gallon. So whatever that equates out to. Then we've got this beautiful Monstera over here in the corner. Look at this guy. This is the one that had mealybugs we did the video on, and we fixed her right up. I haven't seen any more bugs on it, but I love that new leaf that came out. Look at that half moon variegation. She is just a beautiful, beautiful plant. Well, we'll go ahead and come in here, and we'll give this probably about a cup, just like so. And then all that water is just going to be absorbed by the potting soil down there, and she should be good to go too for about another 2 weeks. Now this pothos is showing me some signs that it is really, really thirsty. You see how these leaves are starting to curl up, and also just kind of do this number here, fold over like that guy right there. I think what has happened, I don't give this one a tremendous amount of water because, well, it drips on my computer. And I think the soil has become hydrophobic, because even when I just put a little bit of water in there, it drips right straight out the bottom. So I'll tell you what we need to do, if I can do it while holding the camera, we need to get this guy over to the sink. I think I'm going to have to climb up on the chair because I've got it through a hook up there. So hang tight. Let's see if I can do this without falling out of my spinny chair. All right, we got her free there. Now, let's go ahead and grab this guy and get it over to the sink, because I can almost guarantee, oh, come on. I gotta put y'all down. All right, this dude was hooked to everything. But like I was saying, I can almost guarantee that this soil is hydrophobic. And as I stick my finger, oh yeah, it's crazy dry down there. What happens we got the air conditioner running, it's just gotten so dry till the soil just doesn't want to take water. So we're gonna have to rehydrate it, and we'll do that by turning this little thing on like a sprinkler or a shower setting. And we're just gonna flood that soil. And then we're gonna come back in a few minutes when we come back to refill our water pitcher. And we're gonna do it again. We just gotta get that soil back to where it will accept the water and soak it up. And look at our big old stick plant here, y'all. He is going nuts, man. And this guy, I don't think I put this in here, but this is one of those things that you supposedly fill up and then the soil, the plant drinks when it needs to. I don't think those work all that great, to be completely honest with you. We'll put some water in it anyway, but I'm just going to give this guy about 2 cups as well. And then we got to go back and refill our pitcher. Pepe, quit eating my plant. You done tore up the other 2. Quit misbehaving. And by pre-mixing our fertilizer water, then it's just real simple to come around here, fill it up and we can get right back out there. Now I had to find out the hard way that these two plants are incompatible. So the variegated rubber tree, although it's got some junk on the leaves, I need to wash that off. It's doing fine, but this calathea, this was a rattlesnake calathea. But see y'all, I kill plants too, so don't feel bad if you kill stuff at home. That's how we learn. This calathea obviously needed more water than the rubber tree because he's dead. And we need to get him out of there, but we're probably going to go outside to do that. So later, I'm just going to have to go out there and get that calathea out and water that guy up. Pepe, you're getting on my nerves today, boy. Especially because look what you did to this palm. Pepe likes to use the palms, well, what was a palm, as his scratching post, and then he breaks them off and kills them. So, yes, I know you did that. So I got to chunk this outside real quick. We'll pick that up later, and then we got to figure out something else to plant back in here, but that's another one. Maybe we'll take both. Dude, we'll take both of these outside later and get that calathea out and then find something to throw in that big pot there. But we've got this beautiful split leaf philodendron right here. And Pepe, you are really making things difficult, buddy. And this is a pretty sizable container here too, so I'll probably put, again, about half of this watering pitcher in there. And that leaf was blocking the view, sorry about that. And there we go. That guy is taken care of and good for another 2 weeks. And then I can't remember the name of this plant, this philodendron here. I think green Congo. I know there's a red Congo. But anyway, I like the foliage on it. It's really a dark green. The new leaves that come out are a little bit lighter, but this one just really makes a good contrast up against this white wall. But again, this is probably, I don't know, 2-3 gallon plant. So we're just going to come up in here and somebody, I'm not going to mention any names, Pepe, has been digging in our monstera pot up here. So we've got another really beautiful variegated monstera. And I need to come in and put some more rocks because somebody's been up here digging around. But we're going to go ahead and give this guy about a cup and a half or so. And that should take care of him. Dude, you're getting on my last nerve today. That should take care of him for another 2 weeks. Bro, you're killing me today, man. Here's another one of Pepe's victims. He's killed another palm. It's a really pretty pot. We'll have to go out to the greenhouse and see what we want to replace him with. But these are some calatheas that honestly aren't doing that great. Super dry soil. Dude, I'm going to put you outside if you keep it up. But they're super dry. I haven't watered them. The thing, well, I say I haven't watered them. I water them when I water the other guys. But you see how small that pot is? It's going to dry out quicker than this big old, or some of these big old monster pots. So that's something you just have to kind of take into consideration when you're buying plants. If you're going to buy a little plant, you obviously have to put it into a little pot. It's going to need water more regularly. Versus a monster sized pot. This one's probably a 10-gallon pot. So versus, small guy, gonna need more water. It's just less soil, less water, but more often. And then you got your big old monster pots like this guy. He's gonna take this whole entire jug. And I've got all the rocks in there, my Pepe protectors. And I just try to really get even spread of the water so that we can saturate more of the entire pot. And we moved on to gallon number 2. This will be good for me to know too, is exactly how many gallons goes into watering my plants, because I have got a bunch of plants in this house. Then we got this really cool Dracaena, or corn plant. I guess that name because the stalk obviously kind of looks like a corn stalk. And he's got a kind of a long pot, but it's still pretty sizable. So I'm going to say we're going to give him about 2 cups. And then I can't sing enough praises about this plant right here. This is an Aglaonema. And I think out of all my plants, this is probably one that can go without water the longest and still look good. This thing can probably go a month. Now I just water him just because I'm watering all the other guys, you know, every 2 weeks or so. But he's done really, really good. The foliage hardly ever droops. I mean, he'll kind of let you know when he's thirsty, but I think this is probably one of the easier plants that I have in the house as far as pest, water, and just overall ease of maintenance. Now you can see I've got some cayenne pepper on this leaf and down in the whole plant because, well, obviously Pepe gives me hell with all of my house plants, and he used to like to get down in that one and try to lay down, but he doesn't like the cayenne pepper too much. This one's so thick you just kind of stick the nozzle in there, and I think probably most of my plants are in, you know, somewhere around the 2 to 3 gallons pot size range. And I think I'm just going to go ahead and say probably 2 cups is what an average plant in my house is getting bi-weekly. And we got to bring out the ladder for our Micans philodendron, and he definitely needs more regular watering. I think because he's up so high and an air conditioned vent is kind of right on him, so he's drying out quicker. So either we got to water more regular, or we've got to move him. And moving him kind of isn't an option at this point because he's going everywhere up here along this shelf. So we're just going to have to probably give him water more often. And it looks like kind of the same scenario for this Scindapsus. This is one that we potted up in a video not too long ago. Y'all can kind of see pretty good how we're just going to kind of water all over the top so that we can soak all those roots as best as possible. But I think just due to the fact that we've got an air conditioner vent right there, these are drying out quicker because that air is hitting the wall and just evaporating all the moisture out of the soil. So just going to have to water them probably once a week, to be honest. And we got another little air plant over here, so let's give him just a couple of drops, a little bit. We definitely don't want to overwater them because it'll rot. And maybe if I be still enough, we can catch one of the goldfinches coming up to the feeder. I've been watching them all morning. We've got some beautiful goldfinches, but they can see me through this window, so I don't think they're going to come back right at the moment. All right, moving on. Let's go over here. We've got our money tree, and he's in a big old container, and I always like to stick my finger down. This one's moist. He's moist, so he doesn't need water. So if you don't do that finger trick, you could be overwatering your plant, and then they start to look stressed, and you say, oh man, it needs more water. Give it more water, give her more water, and then you eventually drowned it. So always do that finger test, y'all. It's super easy and it's super important. Now we're going to move over here to this variegated peperomia. This guy's probably going to be in a tie for first place as far as ease of maintenance and water needs with that Aglaonema over there. He does really, really well. And so we're going to stick our finger down. He's dry. He's in a much smaller pot. So we're going to go ahead and give him about a cup of water. What do you think, Pepe? About a cup ought to do it? Yeah, I agree. So just to show you, when I say a smaller pot, that's probably a 3/4 gallon size pot there. I think I've showed you guys this before, but I'm going to brag a little bit because I really suck at woodwork. But I took these old pieces of bamboo out of the landfill, cut them all to size and stained them, and I made the backdrop for my little entertainment center right here. We got this cool bronze sculpture parrot thing, but I think that turned out pretty neat. And then here recently I came and put this cap on it because I was unhappy because you could see down in the bamboo tubes. So I bought this from Lowe's, stained it, and I think it turned out pretty dang good. So I'm just gonna toot my own horn there, since most of my carpentry projects turn out pretty crappy. And I believe that this is some type of Maranta. Look at that cool leaf right there. It looks like somebody actually just came in and painted that thing. But he does pretty good too on low water requirements. But I just stuck my finger in there and he was pretty dry. So we're going to give him about a cup. And I know I've showed you this guy before, but this is my Monstera Peru. But he is still going. I measured him not too long ago, and it was like 22 feet, I think. So I'm going to see if I can just keep him going, draping him over picture frames, and then maybe eventually, if I don't like these candles a whole lot, but every once in a while I do, maybe we can go over that one and over that one and all the way to that windowsill. We'll see. It's going to be kind of difficult to pot this dude up because, well, we can't take him outside, and we certainly can't drag 25 feet of plant with us. So we're just going to have to make a mess when we do pot him up in a bigger pot and do it indoors. I'm going to give him it's probably about a cup. He does real well as far as water demand too, but he was dry, so we just gave him about a cup. This guy always scares me to water him just because he's a cactus and the soil is pretty dry, and I like to keep it that way. He doesn't get watered every 2 weeks. He's more on once a month. But I get scared because look, oh man, I did it. Dashgummit. That's why I get scared watering that guy. But, crap happens. But what'll happen is now that this water is in the saucer, it will begin to rehydrate the soil. So that soil in there starts sucking it back up, and there won't be any water left in that saucer here in about probably 20 minutes. But we did make a little bit of a mess. And here's another one of my once a monthers, and I don't give him a whole lot. I just give him probably, I don't know, a quarter of a cup. That's our snake plant, and they can go a long time without water. Next up, we've got I used to call this a philodendron, but I believe this is an epiprimnum. This is Cebu Blue, and I'm going to say he's pretty high on the water demand. I definitely water him bi-weekly, and in the size container that he's in, I'm going to give him probably right around a cup. He seems to be pretty happy though in this spot. Just to show you how far away we are from the window, we're good 20 feet. And he has done fantastic over here on these little shelves that we built. He trails all the way down to the floor, hardly ever drops a leaf. So pretty low maintenance in that respect, but he does like a little bit more water than some of the other plants that we've talked about today. Had to move on to gallon number 3, y'all. I got one more little snake plant up here. We'll just give him just a splash. That's all he needs. And then I'll go ahead and explain to you why these are not a good idea for indoors. I thought they would look really cool on the wall, and they do, but the little area for soil is so small till when you water even just a little bit, it drips out and runs down the wall and creates a nasty mess. Now, I've got a Sansevieria in this one, and I just drip a little bit of water on him, but he's still not getting the water he needs. I'm going to go ahead and say these need to be outdoor on a wall. They look really cool, but they're just not meant to go on an indoor wall. Pepe, you better make me trip up, dude. Then we've got us another little mini Monstera. Let me go ahead and check him. Yeah, he's dry. So we'll go ahead and give him in this little this little container, probably about 1 cup. And he's another one that'll get it every other week. Now my Monstera here, I love the pot that he's in. He's in one of those big blue boat-like containers, but he's stretching really too far. I mean, this one leaf petiole right there is probably 2.5 feet long going out here to this leaf. And that's because this is the furthest point in this room from the windows. We're a good 20, maybe 25 feet. So they can live, but just know they're going to stretch, trying to get to a little more sunlight. And he's still doing fine. I mean, there's a new leaf that's ready to unfurl right there. Another one that has begun unfurling. So they can live and they'll do fine, but just know you're going to have more of a leggy plant. And due to the shape of this bowl here, I don't have a collection tray up underneath it. So I'll be careful when I water this guy. I really try to spread the water out across the surface so as not saturate any one point and then it run out on the floor. Although we've already made quite the mess, I don't want to clean up any more than I have to. So this guy's probably going to get about 2 cups, and he will be on the same schedule as everybody else, once every 2 weeks. Then of course we got to water my Christmas tree. This is another big Dracaena or corn plant, and this is what me and Jackson used as our Christmas tree because we weren't here during that time anyway. We were on vacation, so I had to have some lights on some kind of tree. And then I just left all this stuff in the base again for my problematic cat, and I just water right through all of the ornaments. I know this is really weird, but it keeps him out of it. And then when Christmas time rolls around, all we got to do is plug our tree back in. Pretty sad, I know, but hey, it is what it is. Now we'll come in here to the bedroom. I really like this this variety of sedum. I don't know what it is, but I want to propagate some more of it because I really like, kind of looks like Burro's tail a little bit, but it's pretty neat. Got it over here next to a lamp that my aunt gave me, and we're going to give him probably, in this little pot, probably just about a half cup. He does get watered bi-weekly, but just don't give him that much because of the size of the pot. And then I've got a nice big ponytail palm over here that Pepe loves to come in and play under, which on cue, there he is. And I didn't make my bed today, nor do I ever make it. So yeah, there's that. But this is a giant pot, so he's going to need probably half of this water pitcher. And we're just going to go around and around him, try to even out that water. I like the effect this ponytail palm gives though. It's just got these cool ribbon-like leaves that come off of it, and it kind of fits that wall section right there pretty much perfect. So I really like him in here. He doesn't get a tremendous amount of light because right out here is where we've got the our shady little nook that we use for potting, and it's under the pergola that you see up there. So not a lot of light makes it in, but he seems to be doing fine. Got a lot of new growth here recently. He's on the same schedule as everybody else and seems to be doing really, really well. I think you doing this fertilizer program once a month really promotes a lot of new growth and keeps your plants healthy and keeps the bugs and disease away, or at least helps it. Then over here on the end table, we got a really beautiful African violet. And I came in here the other day. This thing's been flowering a whole bunch this summer, but it's real important to get to not break off the whole flower stem, Ryan. I was trying to just get that one flower right there off, and well, I broke the whole daggum thing off. But no big deal. She's still got plenty of flowers, and that'll just help it to to flower more. But really important when they turn brown to come in here and deadhead these African violets. And the most important thing is not get any water on the foliage. They hate water on the leaves. So I just pour it in one spot and it floods the entire pot. And of course it goes down, and I've got a little drain basin right here. But don't get any water on the leaves of these African violets or they will hate you for it. Then over here in the corner we've got a real pretty calathea. He's in a pretty decent sized pot, so we're going to give him about a cup and a half, and he too is on the regular bi-weekly schedule. Seems to be happy over here in this corner though. They have such cool looking leaves, man, like a zebra pattern, but indirect light and regular watering, they make a really nice house plant. Then on the opposite nightstand, we've got us a real pretty ZZ plant. This thing has put on a ton of new growth this year. This whole stem is new. I know we had 2 or 3 entire new stems come up this year. Now this one can go quite some time. I really probably only water him once a month. And we're going to give him the old finger test real quick. Yeah, he's dry. So we'll go ahead and give him probably about a cup of water, something like that right there. And this one I'm not too concerned whether or not it makes it all the way down into the collection tray, just because it is such a low water requiring plant. These are super tough. This one will probably be number 3 on the list today, after the Aglaonema and the, what was the other one that we did? Oh, the Peperomia. So then probably this one here. Well guys, that was kind of interesting. Usually I don't pay attention, but it takes 3 gallons to water all of my house plants, and we've got them all fertilized, so everybody should be real happy. Y'all, another thing that you can do too, I've got this battery powered mister that I love. It came from Mossify. You can get this off Amazon too, but the plants absolutely love it, and it's fun to do with this automatic mister. But the air plants especially, I'm trying to do 2 things at once, but air plants especially love that mist, and all of our cuttings, everybody loves it. We've got this guy down here pretty saturated. I've been watering him every time I come over to fill up our little container. We'll just go ahead and mist him really, really good too, because he was in pretty bad shape. But everybody appreciates high humidity, or at least all of my plants do. So I'll just come right through here, give them all a really good mist, and they just love it. Especially the philodendrons and the monsteras with all of their aerial roots. And you can come in and effectively wet the moss pole, and that'll get those aerial roots to really want to hook to it and climb up it. Well, there you go guys. I hope that helped at least some, you know, just so you can see how much I'm watering my plants here at the house. But every situation, every home is different, every container is different, your soil mix, the actual plant that you're watering. So I wish I could give y'all just a solid answer, but this right here is what you got to use to determine whether or not your plant needs water. Stick your finger down in there. If it's bone dry, water it, and then wait until it's bone dry again to give it more water. I'm sorry that that's about the best answer I can give you. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. Always remember, the more you know, the more you grow. We'll see you on the next video. I hope everyone has a fantastic day. I'll tell you guys one thing. Sure is a lot easier to water out here in the greenhouse, man.